High Chancellor Marcus Theron stood before the assembled leaders of humanity's hidden colonies in the vast underground chamber of Nova Terra, their secret capital world. The year was 11,024 CE, and the gathered representatives came from 100 hidden worlds where humanity had survived and thrived since Earth's destruction. The massive chamber, carved from living rock and enhanced with advanced holographic systems, hummed with anticipation. 9,000 years ago, Theron began, his voice carrying across the chamber. The Galactic Confederation committed the greatest atrocity in known history. They reduced our homeworld to ash, believing they had eliminated the human threat to their precious order. Today, we prove them wrong. Today, we take the first step toward becoming what they always feared we would become. The holographic displays activated, showing detailed strategic maps of Confederation space. Fleet Admiral Katerina Volkov, Supreme Commander of humanity's combined military forces, stepped forward. Her cybernetically enhanced eyes gleamed as she gestured to the display. "The Confederation has grown weak," she announced, her voice cold with calculated fury. "Their surveillance networks have blind spots. Their border patrols follow predictable patterns. Most importantly, they believe themselves unchallenged. This is our advantage." In the centuries since Earth's fall, humanity had evolved both technologically and biologically. Genetic engineering had enhanced their natural abilities, while technological advances had given them weapons and ships far beyond what the Confederation could imagine. Every advancement, every innovation had been driven by a single purpose: vengeance. War Minister Julian Blackwood, his dark skin reflecting the blue glow of the holograms, activated a new display showing humanity's military assets. "Our shipyards in the dark zones have completed the first wave of our assault fleet. The Titan-class dreadnoughts are ready. Our phase shift technology remains undetectable to Confederation sensors." The assembled leaders watched as their hologram displayed their greatest achievement, the TSS Prometheus, humanity's first super dreadnought. Nearly 20 kilometers long, it represented 9 millennia of focused technological development, all aimed at one goal: the complete destruction of those who had tried to destroy them. "The time for hiding is over," Theron declared, his voice rising with conviction. "We are no longer refugees or survivors. Today, we begin our transformation into an empire. The Terran Empire will rise from the ashes of Earth, and our vengeance will reshape the galaxy." Deep in the shipyards of Nova Terra, millions of workers prepared the vast armada. The ships bore the newly created symbol of the Terran Empire, a phoenix rising from Earth's ashes, its wings spread across a field of stars. Each vessel was a masterpiece of human engineering, incorporating technologies that the Confederation had deemed impossible. Colonel Lyra Chen, head of Special Operations, stepped forward to present the intelligence briefing. "Our deep cover agents are in position throughout Confederation space. They've spent generations infiltrating every level of their society. When we strike, their command structure will collapse from within." The plan had been in development for centuries. Each generation had contributed to its refinement, driven by an unquenchable thirst for revenge. The Confederation would learn too late that their attempt to exterminate humanity had instead forced them to evolve into something far more dangerous. "The first phase begins tomorrow," Admiral Volkov announced. "The TSS Prometheus will lead our primary fleet in an assault on their core worlds. Simultaneously, our sleeper agents will disable their early warning systems and defense grids. The Confederation will never see us coming." War Minister Blackwood activated the final simulation, showing the projected expansion of human territory. "Within 5 years, we will control their major shipyards. Within 10, their core worlds will be ours. The Terran Empire will rise, and the galaxy will learn to fear the species they once tried to exterminate." In orbit above Nova Terra, the massive form of the TSS Prometheus moved into position. Its captain, Victoria Reynolds, stood on the bridge, watching as her crew made final preparations. The ship's quantum engines hummed with power that would have been magical to their ancestors on Earth. "All ships report ready, Captain," her executive officer reported. "The fleet awaits your command." Reynolds touched the imperial insignia on her uniform, the phoenix that represented humanity's rebirth. "Signal all vessels," she ordered. Operation Phoenix is now active. The Terran Empire rises today. Throughout human space, massive fleets of warships emerged from their hidden docks. Each vessel represented the culmination of 9,000 years of preparation, all leading to this moment. Humanity wasn't just seeking revenge, they were about to establish themselves as the dominant force in the galaxy. High Chancellor Theron's final words echoed through every ship and every command center: remember Earth. Remember our dead. Today, we begin our ascension. Today, the Terran Empire is born in fire and vengeance. For Earth. For humanity. For Empire. The greatest war in galactic history was about to begin, and with it, the birth of an empire that would change the face of the galaxy forever. High Marshal Jackson Pierce watched from the bridge of the TSS Prometheus as the first wave of the Terran fleet emerged from phase space. The massive warships materialized like avenging spirits against the backdrop of stars, their hulls gleaming with energy shields that could withstand the force of a small sun. The first target of humanity's vengeance lay before them: Centauri Prime, the Confederation's primary military installation. All ships in attack formation, Pierce commanded, his augmented voice carrying across the command network. Commence Operation Thunderstrike. The battle that followed would be remembered for millennia as the opening salvo of humanity's rise to power. The Confederation's defense fleet, caught completely off guard, barely had time to raise their shields before the Terran vessels opened fire. Quantum-tipped missiles phased through conventional shields, while gravitic beams twisted space itself around enemy vessels. 9,000 years of technological development, driven by the singular purpose of revenge, proved devastating against the complacent Confederation forces. Captain Olivia Wong, commanding the heavy cruiser TSS Retribution, led her battle group through the enemy's disorganized lines. Target their command and control centers, she ordered. Execute Protocol Phoenix 7. Across the battlefield, human ships demonstrated warfare techniques that the Confederation had never encountered. Vessels shifted in and out of normal space, appearing behind enemy lines and striking with perfect coordination. The advanced AI systems that humanity had developed in secret calculated firing solutions faster than organic minds could process. On Centauri Prime's surface, Operation Shadowfall began. Colonel Marcus Steele led his team of infiltrators, humans who had undergone extensive genetic modification to pass as various alien species. They had spent decades positioning themselves within key facilities, waiting for this moment. All teams, execute, Steele commanded through their quantum-encrypted network. Throughout the massive military installation, seemingly loyal Confederation officers revealed their true allegiance. Defense systems turned against their masters, shield generators failed, and communication networks collapsed. High Marshal Pierce watched with grim satisfaction as the battle unfolded according to plans centuries in the making. Signal the second wave, he ordered. Begin planetary occupation procedures. The second wave of the Terran fleet emerged from phase space, carrying the occupation forces that would secure humanity's first major conquest. These ships bore the mark of the Phoenix Brigade, elite troops specifically trained for the conquest and control of alien worlds. General Diana Rodriguez, commander of the Phoenix Brigade, stood before her assembled forces in the main hangar of the TSS Conqueror. Today we plant the flag of the Terran Empire on our first conquered world, she declared. This is what we were born for. This is what we trained for. Show no mercy to those who showed none to Earth. The troops roared their approval, their advanced combat suits humming with power. Each soldier carried weapons and equipment that represented the peak of human military technology: plasma rifles that could pierce any known armor, personal shield generators, and neural-linked combat systems that gave them superhuman reaction times. In orbit, the battle reached its climax. The Confederation fleet, despite their superior numbers, found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned at every turn. Ships that had once bombarded Earth into submission now broke apart under the relentless assault of humanity's vengeance. Enemy fleet at 40% strength and falling, reported Commander James Chen, tactical officer of the Prometheus. Their command structure is collapsing. High Marshal Pierce nodded slowly. Send the message we prepared. Let them understand who has returned to exact payment for their crimes. Throughout the Centauri system, every communication channel activated simultaneously. The symbol of the Terran Empire, the phoenix rising from Earth's ashes, appeared on every screen. Pierce's voice, cold and implacable, delivered humanity's message. To all forces of the Galactic Confederation, we are the children of Earth, the world you tried to murder 9 millennia ago. We have returned, not as the primitive species you once knew, but as the empire you feared we would become. Centauri Prime is now under Terran control. This is only the beginning. On the surface, the Phoenix Brigade secured strategic positions with ruthless efficiency. Their advanced weaponry and tactics overwhelmed the defending forces. Confederation troops found their energy shields useless against weapons specifically designed to counter their technology. General Rodriguez planted the flag of the Terran Empire atop the Central Military Command Center, its black and gold colors streaming in the alien wind. Centauri Prime is secured, she reported. The Terran Empire has its first colony. In his command center, High Marshal Pierce reviewed the battle data. The victory had been even more complete than their simulations had predicted. Humanity's technological superiority, combined with the element of surprise and their deep cover agents, had proved devastating. Send word to Noverterra, he ordered. Inform High Chancellor Theron that Phase 1 is complete. The birth of our empire begins here. As the dust settled on Centauri Prime, the surviving Confederation forces watched in horror as massive construction ships emerged from phase space. The Terran Empire wasn't just conquering, they were here to stay. Within hours, the transformation of Centauri Prime began, as human engineering reshaped the planet into the first major outpost of their new empire. Their message spread quickly through Confederation space: humanity had returned, and they had evolved into something far more terrifying than anyone could have imagined. The Terran Empire had announced its birth in fire and blood, and this was only the first step in their campaign of vengeance. Supreme Commander Nathaniel Ravencroft stood in the war room of the newly established Terran Command on Centauri Prime, watching as holographic displays tracked the Empire's simultaneous offensives across 12 star systems. 3 months had passed since their initial strike, and the Confederation's response had been exactly what humanity had predicted: chaos, confusion, and desperate attempts to rally their scattered forces. Status report on Operation Stormfront, he demanded, his cybernetically enhanced voice carrying an edge that made his subordinates straighten instinctively. Fleet Commander Isabella Hawthorne, her dark skin contrasting with the silver neural interfaces at her temples, manipulated the holographic display. The Arcturus sector has fallen, sir. The Confederation's 7th Fleet attempted to make a stand at Proxima Station, but our phase shift technology rendered their defensive positions useless. The massive holographic map showed Terran forces advancing steadily through Confederation space. Each conquered system was marked with the Phoenix emblem of the Empire, spreading like a tide of vengeance across the stars. Their leadership is fragmenting, reported Intelligence Director Victor Kane, his artificial eyes scanning multiple data streams simultaneously. Our deep cover agents report that the Confederation Council is divided. The Centaurian faction is calling for immediate surrender, while the Draconians and Aldebarans are demanding a full military response. Ravencroft allowed himself a cold smile. The Confederation's greatest strength, its diversity of species and cultures, was becoming its greatest weakness. 9,000 years of complacency had left them unprepared for an enemy that had spent millennia preparing specifically to destroy them. Begin Phase 3, he ordered. Activate the sleeper cells in the core systems. Throughout Confederation space, carefully placed human agents received their activation codes. On the Confederation capital world of Nova Olympus, High Chancellor Thex of the Diplomatic Corps removed her biotechnology disguise for the first time in 40 years, revealing her true identity as Colonel Rachel Winter of Terran Intelligence. Within hours, the Confederation's carefully maintained order began to crumble from within. Defense systems failed, communication networks collapsed, and strategic facilities found themselves sabotaged by trusted officials who suddenly revealed their true allegiance. On the front lines, the Terran Empire's military might proved overwhelming. The TSS Nemesis, humanity's newest superdreadnought, led an assault on the Confederation's largest shipyard at Epsilon Eridani. Captain Benjamin Stone watched from the command bridge as his ship's quantum cannons tore through defenses that the Confederation had considered impregnable. Enemy forces are attempting to regroup at coordinates Mark 7, reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Maya Patel. They are trying to establish a defensive line around their main production facilities. Stone's response was cold and precise. Deploy the Phantom Squadron. Let's show them why they should have made sure humanity was truly dead 9,000 years ago. A wing of sleek, black vessels emerged from the Nemesis's launch bays. The Phantom-class stealth fighters represented the peak of human military technology, vessels capable of phasing partially out of normal space-time, becoming virtually impossible to target while delivering devastating strikes. The battle for Epsilon Eridani lasted less than 6 hours. When it was over, the Confederation's largest shipyard complex was under Terran control, its vast resources ready to be turned toward building the Empire's ever-growing fleet. Back on Centauri Prime, Supreme Commander Ravencroft received reports of victory after victory. The careful planning of 9 millennia was paying off. The Confederation found itself fighting an enemy that knew all their weaknesses, all their strategies, and had developed specific countermeasures for each one. "Sir," Intelligence Director Kane interrupted, "we're detecting a massive energy surge from the Draconian home system. It appears they are attempting to activate their legendary superweapon, the Star Forge." Ravencroft's expression didn't change. Exactly as predicted. Signal Admiral Helena Drake. Operation Sunbreaker is now active. Near the Draconian homeworld, a Terran stealth fleet had been waiting for this exact moment. Admiral Drake, a veteran of countless simulated battles against this very scenario, gave the order to strike. "All ships, execute attack pattern Phoenix Omega," she commanded. The Draconians are about to learn that humanity has spent 9,000 years preparing for every possible contingency. The Star Forge, a massive installation capable of harnessing the power of a star, had been the Confederation's ultimate weapon during the destruction of Earth. Now, before it could even power up fully, it found itself under attack by vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere, using weapons specifically designed to target its supposedly impregnable defenses. As the Star Forge erupted in a cascade of explosions, Admiral Drake transmitted on all frequencies, "Let this serve as a reminder. Every weapon you used against Earth, every technology you thought made you invincible, we have spent 9 millennia learning how to destroy them all." The destruction of the Star Forge sent shockwaves through the Confederation. Their ultimate weapon, the symbol of their technological superiority, had been destroyed with almost contemptuous ease by the species they had tried to exterminate. Supreme Commander Ravencroft received the news with grim satisfaction. "Send word to High Chancellor Theron. The Terran Empire is advancing faster than projected. At this rate, we'll control the core systems within months rather than years." The holographic displays continue to update, showing more and more territory falling under Terran control. Humanity's vengeance was reshaping the galaxy, system by system, world by world. The Terran Empire wasn't just winning their first galactic war, they were demonstrating a level of military and technological superiority that would be spoken of in whispered terror for generations to come. The great halls of Nova Olympus, once the proud seat of Confederation power, now echoed with the sound of Terran military boots. Grand Admiral Dominic Thaddeus, Supreme Commander of the combined Terran fleets, strode through the ancient chambers where, 9 millennia ago, the order for Earth's destruction had been given. His ceremonial black and gold uniform, bearing the Phoenix insignia of the Empire, seemed to absorb the light around him. "Status of the remaining Confederation forces," he demanded, his voice carrying across the vast command center that had been established in the former council chambers. Strategic Director Raven Cross, her silver neural implants pulsing with real-time battle data, brought up a holographic display of the galaxy. 80% of former Confederation space now glowed with the imperial colors of the Terran Empire. "The last organized resistance is concentrated in the Orion Spur," she reported. "The Draconians and Aldebarans have combined their remaining fleets for one final stand. They've gathered at the Alios Nexus, nearly 7,000 ships." Thaddeus studied the tactical display. After 6 months of relentless warfare, the once mighty Confederation had been reduced to a fraction of its former territory. Those species that had surrendered early had been incorporated into the new order. Those that continued to resist were about to learn the full extent of humanity's military might. Deploy the Phoenix Armada, he ordered. All ships. It's time to end this war. Throughout conquered space, Terran warships received the call. The Phoenix Armada, the largest concentration of military power ever assembled in galactic history, began moving toward the Helios Nexus. Leading the charge was the TSS Retribution, a vessel that dwarfed even the mighty Prometheus. Fleet Admiral Rebecca Steele stood on the Retribution's command deck, watching as over 20,000 Terran warships emerged from phase space around her flagship. Each vessel represented the pinnacle of human military engineering, created with a single purpose: to ensure humanity would never again face extinction. Enemy fleet holding position at the Helios Nexus, reported her tactical officer, Commander Jason Chen. They've established a defensive line around the sector's primary quantum gate network. Steele's enhanced eyes narrowed as she studied the enemy formation. They hope to use the quantum gates to scatter our forces, she observed. They still don't understand what they are facing. The Confederation's remaining leaders had gathered their forces around the quantum gate network, believing it gave them a strategic advantage. What they didn't know was that humanity had spent thousands of years studying and improving upon the gate technology they'd reversed engineered from their hidden observations. All ships, Combat Formation Delta, Steele commanded. Activate the quantum disruption field. A wave of invisible energy pulsed out from the Terran fleet. The quantum gates, the Confederation's last hope for escape or reinforcement, flickered and died. 9 millennia of preparation had given humanity countermeasures for every Confederation technology. On the bridge of the Draconian flagship, Supreme Commander Vexthor watched in horror as their escape route vanished. Impossible, he hissed through sharp teeth. Their gates are beyond interference. The response came in the form of Grand Admiral Thaddeus's voice, broadcasting across all frequencies: nothing is beyond the reach of human vengeance, Supreme Commander. We have spent 9,000 years preparing for this very moment. The battle that followed would be remembered as the most one-sided engagement in galactic history. The Terran fleet's advanced weapons and tactics tore through the Confederation's defensive lines like a stellar storm through paper. Phase shift destroyers appeared inside enemy formations, their quantum weapons reducing capital ships to atoms. Phantom-class fighters executed impossible maneuvers, their neural-linked pilots operating with superhuman precision. From her command post on Nova Olympus, Strategic Director Cross monitored the battle's progress. Enemy fleet at 60% strength and falling rapidly, she reported. Their formation is breaking. Thaddeus watched the tactical display with cold satisfaction. Deploy the Nemesis protocol. Throughout the battlefield, specially designed viral AI programs invaded the Confederation ships' computer systems. Weapons turned against their own vessels. Shield generators overloaded. 9,000 years of calculated vengeance manifested in lines of code that turned the enemy's own technology against them. Admiral Steele's voice carried across the command network: all ships, execute final attack pattern. Show them the full might of the Terran Empire. The Phoenix Armada moved as one, their coordinates synchronized down to the quantum level. Energy weapons powerful enough to crack planets opened fire simultaneously. The remaining Confederation ships found themselves caught in a web of destructive force that had been specifically designed to counter every possible defense they might employ. Within hours, it was over. The last organized resistance to Terran rule had been shattered. The species that had once arrogantly attempted to eliminate humanity found themselves at the mercy of those they had failed to destroy. Grand Admiral Thaddeus stood before the former council chambers, now draped with the black and gold banners of the Terran Empire. Send word to High Chancellor Theron, he ordered. The military phase is complete. The galaxy belongs to humanity. Across conquered space, celebrations erupted among human populations that had hidden for millennia. On thousands of worlds, the Phoenix banner of the Terran Empire rose above cities and spaceports. The species that surrendered found themselves incorporated into a new order, one dominated by the race they had once thought eliminated. The birth of the Terran Empire was complete. Humanity had not just survived, they had transformed themselves into the most powerful civilization the galaxy had ever known. Their vengeance had reshaped the very fabric of galactic society, and their rule would last for millennia to come. The imperial palace on Noverterra gleamed in the light of three suns, its crystalline spires stretching towards the stars that humanity now commanded. High Chancellor Marcus Theron stood at the grand balcony overlooking the capital city of the newly established Terran Empire, his enhanced vision taking in the endless stream of ships arriving from across conquered space. 1 year had passed since the final battle at the Aelios Nexus. In that time, the face of the galaxy had been completely transformed. Where once the Confederation had ruled through fear and suppression, now the Terran Empire established its dominance through a combination of overwhelming military might and calculated mercy. The last of the delegation ships are arriving, Chancellor, announced Imperial Coordinator Lyra Phoenix, her golden uniform bearing the marks of both military and diplomatic service. Representatives from every major species in former Confederation space await your address. In the vast assembly chamber below, thousands of delegates from countless worlds gathered. Some came as willing allies who had aided humanity's return to power. Others came as conquered subjects, their once proud civilizations now bound to human rule. All came to witness the formal establishment of the new galactic order. High Chancellor Theron adjusted his ceremonial cloak, emblazoned with the phoenix that had become the symbol of humanity's rebirth. "Begin the transmission," he ordered. "Let every world in our domain witness this moment." Throughout the Empire, on millions of worlds across thousands of light-years, screens and holographic projectors activated. The moment that humanity had planned for 9 millennia was about to unfold. "Citizens of the galaxy," Theron began, his enhanced voice carrying the weight of history. 9,000 years ago, the species gathered in this very chamber attempted to eliminate humanity from existence. They failed. Today, we mark not just our survival, but our absolute triumph. The chamber fell silent as Theron continued. The Terran Empire rises not merely as conquerors, but as architects of a new galactic order. Those who opposed us have been defeated. Those who aided us will be rewarded. All will witness the dawn of humanity's eternal reign. From her position among the military leadership, Grand Admiral Helena Drake watched as the assembled aliens reacted to Theron's words. Some showed fear, others resignation, and a surprising number displayed relief. The Confederation's rule had been far from benevolent, and many species saw human dominance as an improvement. "Our first act," Theron declared, "is to establish the Imperial Charter." Unlike the Confederation, which ruled through suppression and genocide, the Terran Empire will rule through strength and order. Every species that accepts our authority will have a place in our new society. Strategic Director Cross activated the main holographic display, showing the vast extent of Terran space. Nearly 90% of known space now fell under human control, making the Terran Empire the largest unified government in galactic history. "We have not spent 9 millennia planning merely for revenge," Theron continued. "We have prepared to rule. Our technology, our military might, our understanding of the galaxy, all have been developed not just to win this war, but to forge an empire that will last for eternity." Throughout the chamber, delegates watched as details of the new order were revealed. The Terran Empire would maintain absolute military control, but local governments would retain autonomy in domestic affairs. Trade would flow freely through human-controlled space. The technological advances that humanity had developed in secret would gradually be shared with loyal subjects. "To those who fought against us," Theron's voice hardened, "witness the price of continued resistance." The holographic display shifted to show the draconian home system, where the last pocket of organized resistance had been crushed. Their once mighty draconian fleet was now scattered debris, their orbital facilities reduced to atoms. But to those who embraced the new order, his tone softened slightly, witness the rewards of loyalty. The display changed to show worlds where cooperation with human rule had brought prosperity and advancement. Former Confederation species that had aided humanity's return now found themselves elevated to positions of privilege within the new hierarchy. Commander Alexis Vega, head of Imperial Intelligence, monitored the reactions across the Empire. "Acceptance rates are higher than projected," she reported through the neural network. The transition protocols are proceeding as planned. High Chancellor Theron raised his hands, commanding attention for his final proclamation. Let this day be marked in history as the true beginning of the Terran Empire. We have risen from the ashes of Earth, transformed our near extinction into absolute dominion, and created an empire that will span eternity. The assembly chamber erupted in a choreographed display of support, as those who had already accepted human rule led the acknowledgement of the new order. Above the chamber, the massive imperial banner unfurled, the phoenix rising from Earth's ashes, now symbolizing humanity's complete triumph over those who had tried to destroy them. In orbit above Nova Terra, the combined might of the Terran fleet assembled for a display of power that would be broadcast across the Empire. Thousands of warships, from nimble destroyers to mighty dreadnoughts, formed the shape of the phoenix against the backdrop of space. It was a message that every species in the galaxy would understand: the Terran Empire now reigned supreme, and their rule was absolute. As the ceremony concluded, High Chancellor Theron looked out over the assembly of conquered and allied species. Humanity had not just survived, they had transformed themselves into the most powerful civilization in galactic history. The species that had once tried to eliminate them now bowed before human authority, and the Terran Empire would ensure that humanity would never again face the threat of extinction. The galaxy had entered a new age, the age of humanity's eternal dominion. The Terran Empire had been born in vengeance, forged in war, and would now rule through power and absolute authority. 9,000 years of waiting had culminated in complete victory, and humanity's rule over the stars would last for millennia to come.